Video link, Brendan Clarke-Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Last night I watched the England match with my family, and like many in this chamber, I've never seen my country appear in a major final, and we all felt that finally football was coming home, and it was not to be. But we've been here before, and as an Englishman, I've almost come to expect falling at the final hurdle when glory's within touching distance. And it's important we remember this is a team game and that blaming individuals won't change a thing. Instead, let's be thankful for what was our second most successful tournament ever, with the World Cup only 18 months away. And there's a lot to be celebrated. And how disappointing then to see the subsequent barrage of abuse that those unfortunate players have received on social media. Even more so disappointing are the attempts of the opposition to conflate the debate around taking the knee, and the suggestion that to be a real England supporter, you must also support this, with something which is quite different and completely unacceptable to all decent people. And this is the same cancel culture we see on our campuses. And if people wish, they can criticise their run-ups, criticise their accuracy, or criticise the choice of penalty takers. But what we have seen goes beyond mere critical opinion. It is vile abuse and should be recognised as such. And social media companies and internet service providers must do more to stamp out these cowardly trolls, and they have a responsibility to stop people doing this under the veil of anonymity. And I'm glad that we'll be dealing with this later in our online harms bill. And many of those comments will be threats and abuse of a criminal nature. And this is not freedom of speech or freedom of opinion, and any reasonable person can clearly see the difference. But that is what today's debate must not be confused with. And this, instead, the Higher Education Freedom of Speech Bill will ensure that healthy and reasoned debate is protected on our university campuses. And criminal offences will remain criminal offences, including hate speech. And when honourable members of this House wish to criticise my stance on an issue, I do not try to prevent them from speaking. I do not demand I'm given a safe space, and I do not attempt to have them cancelled because I don't like their views. Our electorates can cancel us all through the ballot box if they so wish, and that is democracy. So why on earth do we allow this type of behaviour to flourish in our universities? And it's quite incredible for organisations where academic debate and challenging the views of others are part of the experience. And we now see the no platforming of speakers and student unions getting rid of organisations they simply don't like. We see academics being chased off campus and spiteful open letters calling for them to be removed from their positions. And yesterday, many condemned the behaviour of a number of football fans and the violent disorder, hooliganism and vandalism perpetrated by some. Yet this is not isolated to football. It wasn't football supporters who tried to pull statues down or who created a situation where the University of Bristol sought to impose security costs on a student society purely for inviting the Israeli ambassador. And this was due to the behaviour of extreme left groups on campus. And these social justice warriors are certainly not warriors, and they also have a bizarre and warped understanding of social justice. And freedom of speech allows these people, and indeed some members in this chamber, the right to hold and express these views. And it's a shame they do not believe in the right of others to hold alternative beliefs. Some have even referred to members on this side of the chamber as evil in the past. And to borrow a saying from a colleague, I do not believe my opponents are evil. I simply believe they are mistaken. And education is one of my passions. However, I can only imagine the storm were I ever to consider a career in academia now. And when I went to university, believing in free market economics, being a conservative, or simply having a traditional view of what constitutes a man or a woman would not be controversial positions. And now I would be accused of hate speech and screamed at by somebody with bright pink hair demanding I'm either fired, locked up, or perhaps both. And our universities are world-renowned as centres of excellence. They played a key role in our fight against COVID-19, as honourable members have already mentioned, and we must be forever grateful. But they must not turn into organisations which churn out graduates unable to think for themselves, unable to tolerate the views of others, or unable to deal with the daily challenges and realities of life. And as our friend from Holton, Price and Howden said earlier with Voltaire, whilst Voltaire never actually said the line he is famous for, a little like in Casablanca, I disapprove of what you say, but I would defend to the death your right to say it. And I think it is one that many of us can identify with. It's time some of our universities followed suit. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.